Welcome to our channel. In today's explainer, we're going to unravel a fascinating biological mystery, one that sits right at the intersection of modern agricultural technology and the hidden internal reality of plants.
So, I want you to imagine a really high-stakes scenario. Picture a state-of-the-art commercial greenhouse. You look at the sensors on the wall, and they're telling you that the temperature and humidity are absolutely optimal. Mathematically speaking, the environment is perfect, no notes. Yet, if you look closely at the canopy, the plants are stressed, their growth is completely stalled, and the yield is clearly going to suffer. It begs the question, why do plants fail when the room they are sitting in is supposedly flawless? Well, to understand this, we have to look at the prime suspect that growers rely on to measure that so-called perfection.
That suspect is vapor pressure deficit, or VPD. By definition, it's the calculated difference between how much moisture the air can hold at its absolute maximum saturation and the amount of moisture it's currently holding. We usually measure this in metric kilopascals or kPa, and sometimes you'll see equivalent pressure measurements in imperial psi or bars. In theory, VPD acts like a giant atmospheric vacuum. It's mathematically supposed to drive a plant's transpiration, pulling water right up from the roots, through the stem, and out of the leaves.
To really wrap our heads around how this works, let's look at the extremes. A high VPD means the air is hot and incredibly dry. It has this massive capacity to hold more water, creating a high transpirational demand that aggressively pulls moisture from the plant. Conversely, a low VPD means the air is highly humid and sticky. It's close to saturation, meaning there's very little atmospheric demand to pull that water. Let's move over to the real-world application of this concept.
Imagine a beautifully maintained canopy in a tightly controlled environment. Cultivators rely almost exclusively on atmospheric dashboards tracking things like VPD to keep these environments incredibly stable. But, the underlying assumption here is actually a bit of a trap. We tend to assume the plant is just a passive participant in this perfect room. We assume that if we dial in the atmospheric vacuum perfectly, the plant will simply act like a straw, passively drinking up water and nutrients at a steady, totally predictable rate.
But here is where we introduce a massive complication, something we call the open-loop problem. Plants are not just wet towels hanging on a clothesline, evaporating water at a rate dictated solely by the air around them. Treating a plant like a black box that just reacts to the room completely ignores absolutely critical internal biological factors. Inside that stem is a complex dynamic plumbing system.
The core conflict really boils down to this. Plants are not passive physical evaporators. Rather, they're active biological systems. Plants are constantly making decisions. They continuously regulate their water loss through the opening and closing of their stomata, those tiny pores on their leaves. And they do this actively to protect their vascular integrity. If they lose water faster than they can absorb it, their internal plumbing could literally collapse, so they fight back against the room. This active regulation is triggered by hidden stressors that the fancy atmospheric dashboard on the wall just cannot see. For example, if the soil has high electrical conductivity or salinity, it's a lot harder for the roots to pull water via osmosis. If the root zone temperature drops even slightly, we're talking by just 0.2 degrees Celsius, which is about 1/3 of a degree Fahrenheit, the water actually becomes more viscous, and root hydraulic conductivity slows way down. Or, the plant might simply experience localized cellular fatigue late in the day. Any of these factors will cause a plant to undergo partial or complete stomatal closure, completely independent of how perfect the room's atmosphere is.
And this leads to a widely fascinating, verifiable phenomenon called hysteresis. Look at this. If we measure a plant in the morning at a VPD of 1.5 kilopascals, we see high sap velocity. Water is rushing through the plant. But if we have that exact same 1.5 kilopascals of VPD in the afternoon, the sap velocity crashes. The atmospheric demand is identical, but the flow is entirely different because the plant is actively restricting its transpiration due to declining water potential over the course of the day.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is what we call the great decoupling. Standard VPD dashboards are actually blind to the plant's true hydraulic status. You might have the perfect room, but a completely stressed, shut-down plant. Please like and subscribe, it really helps our channel a lot.
Alright, so if the dashboard on the wall isn't telling us the whole truth, we are left with a critical challenge. How do we solve the mystery of the black box? How do we stop guessing based on the air and start actually measuring the plant's true, internal physiological reality?
The answer lies in advanced in vivo measurement technologies, specifically Xylem sap-flow sensors. These are physical devices that attach directly to the plant itself.
Some are heat pulse probes inserted right into the wood. Others are Dynagauge wraparound collars for smaller stems, or Implex 3-needle sensors. They actually work by sending a tiny pulse of heat into the stem and tracking exactly how fast that heat moves with the water. This measures the actual volumetric water traffic inside the stem. Now let's see how this compares to other physiological metrics.
When we look inside the plant, we generally measure one of two things, traffic or pressure. Sap-flow sensors measure the literal traffic of the plant's plumbing, how many liters or gallons of water are moving per hour. On the other hand, technologies like fluoropulse microtensiometers measure the pressure or stem water potential in bars or psi. This tells you the actual tension, basically how hard the plant is fighting to pull water from the soil. Both of these cut right through the atmospheric noise, but they tell us very different things.
Let's break down the real value behind these two internal methodologies. Fluoropulse gives you a single actionable number revealing exactly how stressed the plant is right now. It's factory calibrated, making it essentially plug and play, and costs around $1,800 a year as a turnkey service. Sap-flow sensors, meanwhile, tell you exactly how much water the plant is transpiring. This is incredible data for research and volume tracking, though it does require complex, species-specific calibration, with hardware running anywhere from $2,000 to over $5,000. Ultimately, understanding this internal data, whether you're measuring traffic or pressure, directly empowers growers to master their irrigation scheduling and bypass invisible plant stress altogether.
So, what should you take away from all this? True climate control requires shifting your focus from the dashboard on the wall to the sap flowing inside the stem. If you rely only on vapor pressure deficit, you're really just making an educated guess about what the plant is feeling. By measuring the plant directly, you move from atmospheric guessing to physiological knowing, ensuring your crops aren't silently failing in a supposedly perfect room.
If the atmosphere is just a suggestion and the plant has the final say, you really have to wonder, what other hidden decisions are our crops making behind our backs while we're just staring at the thermostat? Thanks for watching. This content does not constitute medical advice, legal advice, or recommendations for the use, self-treatment, or consumption of any substance.